Iran and the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council plus Germany hold talks over Tehran's nuclear energy program. Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif sat down with his counterparts on the sidelines of the annual UN General Assembly in New York. The talks mark the highest-level meeting between U.S. and Iranian officials in decades. After the meeting, EU Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton called the talks positive and said the group heard Zarif's suggestions on how to move forward. Ashton says the nuclear talks will continue in Geneva on October the 15th and 16th, and the parties will focus on practical details. The UK Foreign Secretary William Hague has also said the tone and spirit of the talks with Iran were extremely good. The U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and Iran's Zarif also commented on the talks after the meeting.
We hope to be able to make progress towards resolving this issue in a timely fashion, based on respecting the rights of the Iranian people to nuclear technology for peaceful purposes, including enrichment, and at the same time making sure that there is no concern at the international level that Iran's nuclear program is anything but peaceful. This is in our interest, and we are going to ensure that with this group and with the rest of the international community. We also had a short bilateral discussion with Secretary Kerry after the meeting, in which we stressed on the need to continue these discussions, to give it the political impetus that it requires, and hopefully to reach a conclusion within a reasonable time. I'm satisfied with this first step. Now we have to see whether we can match our positive words with serious deeds so that we can move forward.
I have just met with him now on a side meeting, which we took a moment to explore a little further the possibilities of how to proceed based on what President Obama laid out in his speech to the General Assembly earlier this week. A change in tone, which was welcome, doesn't answer those questions yet, and there's a lot of work to be done. So we will engage in that work, obviously, and we hope very, very much, all of us, that we can get concrete results that will answer the outstanding questions regarding the program. But I think all of us were pleased that the Foreign Minister came today, that he did put some possibilities on the table. Now it's up to people to do the hard work of trying to fill out what those possibilities could do.
Well, to discuss that a bit further, now joined with Mr. Mark Glenn, who is a political commentator, and he's joining us live now from Idaho. Mr. Glenn, thanks a lot for joining us. Now, how do you assess this meeting? A lot of positive words seem to be coming out of it.
Yes, I think that the meeting really is an indicator that a new chapter has begun, and that we are going to see now the United States backing away from the Israeli scripted dialogue concerning Iran and her quote-unquote nuclear weapons program. Syria has been an absolute disaster for the United States in terms of public relations. Nobody believes for a moment that what took place in Syria was anything other than an American-backed insurgency that has killed 100,000 people. And at the same time now, we have the situation with Iran's nuclear program looming large. So I think that the United States understands now that it cannot sell this lie anymore. It has been forced to the bargaining table to discuss these things with a sovereign country. And I think that the United States realizes that it's trying to sell something to the world that the world simply is not going to buy.
And obviously, all of this must be making Netanyahu and the Israel lobby in the United States very nervous.
Absolutely. I think nervous is an extreme understatement. I think you could fry an egg on top of Netanyahu's head at any given time during the day right now. He's absolutely furious. He didn't get his war in Syria. He's not going to get his war in Iran. And now you've got an American administration talking reasonably with the Iranians. First time that this has happened in over 30 years. So Netanyahu is absolutely furious, particularly after the speech that President Rouhani made that has completely torn to shreds the lies that Israel has tried to paint concerning Iran, concerning the nature of the Iranian regime. And it's a whole new day. It's a whole new ballgame now. And, of course, while many of us breathe a sigh of relief over this, at the same time, we also have to look with a certain amount of concern over this because, as I said, Benjamin Netanyahu is a wild animal in a suit. He's not just capable of doing the worst in order to turn the tables on the situation, but is liable to do the worst. And I think that this is something that we have to take into account when trying to gauge what we may be dealing with in the very near future.
And if you can, just under a minute, Mr. Glenn, do you think that President Obama has the courage, essentially, to go forward with these talks with Iran, keeping in mind, of course, the Israel lobby?
I think he doesn't have any other choice. I don't think it's a matter of courage. I think that he realizes that it's either the frying pan or the fire. And the fire in this case is seeing America literally going up in flames as a result of these never-ending wars that Israel has gotten us involved in throughout the world. So I don't think it's a matter of courage. I think Obama understands he does not want to be the sitting president when America literally goes up in flames. He doesn't want that to be, for him to be remembered that in the history books.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now, but of course, as always, we do appreciate your insight. That was Mark Glenn speaking to us live from Idaho.